Ragnar Prime's skills have finally been released, and I can tell you how to get him. So stick around to learn more. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms gameplay episode from your very own Shappy Gaming, and today we are going to be talking about the amazing news that came out about Ragnar Prime yesterday. And I deliberately waited to make this video because I wanted to get a couple answers to things, and I actually do have those answers for you today. So I can also tell you how you're going to be able to get him and what that's actually going to look like. So first things first, Ragnar Prime is technically an infantry versatility and skill commander. However, we already know from my previous video on the top right side of your screen that Ragnar is specifically built for a main new KVK that they are introducing, which is going to be Vikings versus the Mercians. It's Ethelfled versus Ragnar. It's awesome. Lots of really cool stuff coming out there. Maybe I'll make a video on that. Let me know if you want to know in the comment section below. But Ragnar also, in that specific KVK type, can be more than just infantry. And that's what this belt does. It's an accessory that was announced that allows him to actually change his unit type to whatever the primary unit might be for the other commander he's paired with. So Ragnar is already pretty versatile, and I made a whole video where I talked about this. But what we now know is that not only is he going to be versatile and useful in that specific KVK, but he's going to be a beast in all of the KVKs just based upon his skills alone. And I really like this approach because we needed commanders that are going to be a little bit more versatile. You can use them as infantry, you could use them as cavalry. You know I love artifacts, so it's no surprise that I'm a big fan of this kind of a commander. But his skills themselves are actually insane, and I think that we may be seeing Guan hit the bench. So let's check him out, and I'll walk you through what I think about him. But before I do that, let me answer the question. How the heck are we getting this guy? So there are a couple different ways that we're primarily going to get exposure to him. In the Halloween event, they're going to be bringing him out for a teaser event where you can actually go through, use him. I believe you pull him down and he's level 60, 5511, same as if you were to go through and do the King's Return event and get a trial commander that way. So we'll all be able to play with him, but you won't be able to keep him. What's actually going to happen is after that event, you will be able to get him for free. There's probably going to be a one-day event where you just unlock him for free. We've had other commanders like this before, so it's not that big of a deal. But once you do that, you'll be able to invest in him. Another question I've seen a lot of people asking is he actually going to be available in every KVK type? I know I've seen VIP posts. I'll throw them up on the screen for you. He is going to be available in every KVK type. The main difference is in this specific KVK, he has the opportunity to get that accessory, which we think is awesome. But in other KVK types, he's just a normal infantry commander. So hopefully that clears up the confusion. I saw a lot of confusion on Facebook. Let me know in the comment section below. Hopefully this helps you. Also, reading through this again, it does seem like he'll be fully expertised for a limited time during that first strike event. So you'll actually be able to use him, play with him. I think he's going to be pretty good. Now, let's dive into the skills. So previously, we were able to go through and read through the skills, and I just, ballparked what I thought everything was going to be. But now I actually have the skills, and I can tell you he's a beast. So first things first, his first skill is an AoE type damage, and I actually have the skill animation. I'll put it up on the top right for you. He deals 2,000 damage factor in an AoE, and the current target takes additional damage every second for the next 2 seconds. And this is really a big deal because if you are using the skill tree, there is a skill within the skill tree that actually makes it so additional damage is increased. And this is a really big deal because this means not only is he dealing a ton of direct damage factor in an AoE, but he's also going to be dealing a lot of additional damage. So he is a nuke. And he's an AoE infantry commander, which is a pretty big deal. I don't think we knew that before. Next is going to be Ride the Whale Road, which is really clever, just for the record. This commander's infantry units gain 40% defense and 10% march speed. If this commander's troop contains only infantry units, it takes 10% less normal damage. So this is pretty good. Defense we like on infantry because it's going to make them a little bit more swarm proof, which is important. 10% march speed, it's fine. I would probably have rather had 15 instead of 10%, but beggars can't be choosers. And if this commander's only contains infantry units, he takes less 10% normal damage. And this is a big deal because if you're fighting smite commanders, this also debuffs their primary skill. And they specifically called that out right there for you. So this is a big deal. Based on the first two skills alone, I'm already pretty excited for him. I think he's going to be a good field commander, and he's going to be pretty versatile. But let's see. The next skill is going to be the Sea King. If this commander is in a field troop, which we already know he's going to be, whenever it launches or is hit with a basic attack, it has a 30% chance to drain the enemy's attack by 20% and march speed by 30% for 2 seconds. So someone actually asked in the Rise of Kingdoms content creators channel, hey, does this mean that if a target attacks him, he's going to drain their skills? And the answer is yes. This was confirmed. So what it means is if someone swarms him, he's actually going to drain their attack and their march speed. So if you pair him with someone else who's going to be dealing AoE damage or is going to take advantage of this, that's a huge deal. And if you're draining that attack, I do wonder if there's a opportunity for it to stack. Because I believe when you drain it, you also increase your own by an equal amount, which is what you're seeing here for number 2. So if you get swarmed by 3 targets, there's the potential for you to end up with 60% additional attack. That's crazy. And I think it could actually probably sequence pretty easily there. So this is huge, especially if you're getting swarmed because, again, 30% chance for each target that's attacking you. So if you're getting hit by 3 targets, you could probably keep this buff up for a fairly long time. So this vampire skill here, which it's been coined by everyone, I think Omniarch and Chiskel called it out, is a really big deal. And I think it's going to make him extraordinarily powerful in the field. It's going to make him pretty swarm proof because you're not going to want to hit him. And it's actually going to hurt your AoE marches. Because if you attack this guy, whether it's an AoE attack or you've directly attacked him, your AoE damage is going to get reduced because of that attack drain. So that's actually a really big deal. And to be honest, having him in your march just for this skill may actually be worth it. Now let's look at that 4th skill there in Odin's Hall. If this commander is in a field troop, their troop takes 25% less skill damage, and every time their troop's rage reaches 70%, it gains a 15% bonus to skill damage dealt for 4 seconds. This is huge! This is absolutely huge. 25% less skill damage is a lot. And we already know that he may already be taking their attack away, so he's going to really neutralize a lot of that skill damage. And this, every time their rage reaches 70%, that's a lot. That is a lot of rage. That's crazy. That is crazy, guys, because if you're above 70%, I think this also triggers. And so what this means is you may want him to be a secondary commander. I don't necessarily know that you need him to be a primary commander because of this skill. Because if the rage reaches 70% and you gain an additional 15% bonus for the next 4 seconds, the odds are pretty high that within those next 4 seconds, both your primary and secondary commander skills are going to pop off. So that's huge. That's a really good skill, and it doesn't look like it has a cooldown. So if you use a horn with him, you're actually going to be dealing that skill damage even faster, and you're going to get more benefit from this. So you do want to use the horn with Ragnar. Now, let's take a look at his expertise. With his expertise, you deal direct damage to up to 3 enemy troops in a fan. Again, damage factor of 2200, so now it goes up even further. And we have the additional damage factor. So I'm sure what you might be wondering is, do I need to max this guy? Based upon his skills alone, I'm thinking you probably don't have to, right? You still get this expertise there, that additional damage factor. The only main difference I'm seeing with the expertise is you deal 2200 damage. Now, you may want to max him anyways, just looking through his skills, because the benefits are so worth it, right? I don't see a skill here that I wouldn't want in a field march. So You might consider maxing him anyways, to be honest. His expertise is kind of meh. If you were to not max him, though, which skill would you skip? I don't know that you would skip any of them. Maybe ride the whale road. So you might do 5-1, 5-5. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I think he might be worth maxing, especially with that belt accessory if you use that other KVK style, which, again, it looks pretty awesome. I'm excited about it, so I think it'll be worth doing. But I also know you're asking this question. Who can we pair him with? So let me see if I can answer that question for you. So let's open up the game real quick, and let's double check. Here we are. And we're in game. And you should pair him with Attila. No, I'm kidding. So who should you pair him with? Let's figure this out, because I do think there are some commanders that you may want to pair him with and use him with in game, and there are some obvious ones. So let's start with Guan. Do you want to pair him with Guan? Well, Guan is going to also deal AoE damage, and he also has a damage factor of 2,000. Now, you're not going to be running Guan secondary, so this first skill doesn't matter, but you do get a silence with Guan, which isn't bad. Now, if this commander's troop is attacking a city or stronghold, see, this is where you start to run into an interesting situation. Because this second skill only applies to city or stronghold, so Ragnar already has an advantage over Guan. Let's look at this next one. This commander's infantry troops gain 30% attack and 15% march speed. Whenever you leave combat, you recover some healing. So, if we go back to Ragnar, right? 30% attack and 15% march speed. That's Guan's main bonus here, right? This is his main troop type bonus. If we go back over here, his vampire bonus will give you 20% attack and 30% march speed. So just the vampire skill alone kind of takes away from Guan's main skill there. So that's interesting. Now let's look at this fourth skill. If your AoE hits one target, it has a chance to deal direct damage of 1,000, which is higher than Ragnar. If it hits two targets, it has a 50% chance to deal extra direct damage to the current target of this commander's troop. So Guan may actually be dealing more skill damage, it looks like. So that is something to consider. And after receiving a shield, Guan receives 15% more skill damage buff, which we do know is very similar to what we're seeing with Ragnar's other skill, his fourth skill here, where when you hit 70% rage, you gain a 15% bonus to skill damage. So it's not necessarily apples to apples, and I do wonder if upgrading from Guan to Ragnar is going to be worth it. I mean, there are different benefits. I like the vampire skill, and candidly, I do think Ragnar is probably going to be a little bit tankier because you have the defense and you have the attack. And you have the AoE damage, which, again, you guys saw the skill animation, means you're going to be dealing some pretty good damage there. Now, who else could we use with him? You have Guan. You could run Guan with him as a secondary. That could be totally viable. But what about Scipio? Scipio is personally my main pick. I think if you run Scipio with him, not only are troops losing 30% health, but you're also going to hit them immediately with Ragnar's massive AoE damage as well. And you've got double AoE, which we love. Scipio also has 40% attack and 15% march speed, and you get extra march speed when you're outside of territory. So Scipio is built for the field as well. So this could be a really nice synergy. You've got the march speed coming from Ragnar, you've got the march speed coming from Scipio, and Scipio's out-of-the-box buff is 40% attack. So you've got a balance between attack and defense, which you have with Ragnar, because again, I believe it's Ragnar's second skill is going to give you that defense there. So there's not a bad synergy there, and I could totally see this pair being super viable. Let's look at number 3. If you're attacking another troop on the map, infantry units in their unit gain health. This is what Ragnar needs. You have the defense, you need some health. And when their troop launches a basic attack, you can deal additional damage factor, which again means you want the skill tree. So you might actually want to be running Ragnar primary if you're running him with Scipio, because the skill tree, and I'll just use Nevsky as an example, has this latent power talent. So that's going to be valuable when we're talking about these kinds of pairings. Last but not least, whenever you take skill damage with Scipio, it has a chance to reduce the damage and grant a damage absorbing shield. And this plays well into Ragnar's other skill, where he's not only reducing the skill damage taken, but he does have the vampire ability, which I believe could take effect here. Last but not least, you've got Scipio's expertise. which is pretty good. The only thing that makes me pause before saying that you want to be dropping Guan is that Scipio's expertise does help if the target is silenced. And Guan is going to be the one who's going to be dealing the most silencing. So there is an outstanding question of who you're going to want to pair Ragnar with. The other thing is, with that accessory that he has, you're going to have to figure out which unit types you want to run him with, which actually opens up the pie quite a bit, because maybe you could put him with Nevsky, right? Have Nevsky run primary and then have Ragnar run his secondary. That could be totally viable. That could actually be really good. And Nevsky needs a secondary as well. Right now you've got William in your March, or you're putting Joan with Ho Chi Bang. So that could be a viable That could be a viable situation. I don't know. You guys let me know. But I'm really excited about this commander. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you've enjoyed, do hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right hand corner. Drop a like on the video. It helps others see this as well. Thank you all. Shappy out.